Thanks so much, Ken. This is super awesome. I know that you are calling right now out of Punta Cana. So I think that's where we're going to start. So let's hear all about how your weekend has been, what you guys have done, and what the plan is going after, leaving this trip.
Sure, sure. Well, thanks so much, Brendan. It's been spectacular. We got here on Wednesday, and tomorrow is going to be Sunday. Today's Saturday, and we have a final farewell white party on the beach with 1,000 of us here. And it's just amazing that usually you'll have 1,000 people at a convention. This is 1,000 people who earned an incentive trip, which is really insane if you think about it. It's just huge. I'm talking to any of their friends who've been in, worked for companies and what have you, to think that this amount of people, the company afforded the opportunity to earn this kind of trip. And I shared with the team earlier, the massive room we're in currently with the beautiful jacuzzi tub on the on the balcony, and it's just spectacular. And everybody got a room just like that. It wasn't just the SPDs, So beautiful property and all paid for. So just very thankful, and looking forward to getting back. But what was really spectacular to be on a trip like this, and this is why it's so valuable and resourceful for everyone to earn a trip like this, is you get a taste of the dream. And when you have something else paying your way, and that's kind of how LifeWave is. Once you get enough of a team going, well, all the collective efforts of what they're doing is that's helping increase your bank account, right? And so, because you and I can only do so much in 40 hours, but if you got hundreds and thousands of people taking a little bit of effort across the board, you and I can never do that. And we get a piece of all that, and that begins to bring us closer to our dreams. And of course, in 22 months, this thing got us to our dreams at north of $1 million a year while I was working full time, 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. Really didn't have time for something else. So really appreciate the power of word of mouth, appreciate the power of this patch. No one else on the planet has this at all. And everybody has stem cells. So everybody, from my 2.5-year-old autistic granddaughter who's been blessed by this, to my 94-year-old mother-in-law who got blessed by this, is an opportunity for blessing for them. But like I like to share with people, you can be healthy and and still work the rest of your life. And what that means is, unless you really enjoy what you do, and here in the United States, Newsweek magazine came out with a report recently that said 75% of the American workforce is not happy in what they do. And what does that really mean is that the most precious commodity to all of us is time. See, you and I can get our health back, but we can't get our time back. And so if we're going to leverage time, take it to the fullest advantage, then we want to really live our best life in that time. And if we're doing something we don't enjoy during that time, that's not our best life. But you know what? People don't feel like they have another way out because they've got to pay the bills. They're hoping there's enough money left at the end of the month. Just hope maybe to save some, plan for the future. And that was kind of my pain point when I got introduced to this opportunity. I'll share that with you in a minute here. But thank God that we have a mechanism that we can have non-network marketing people plug into and begin to win in a way that otherwise wasn't possible. I was just at the pool here with Danny McDaniels. He's one of my leaders in his team. And he introduced me to two common folks from Texas, right? And who have been in LifeWave. And they've only been at 8 months. And these are precious couples, it's more senior than me, and just good old boys and girls, if you will. And they're already presidential directors. Never done this business before in 8 months. Common folks. And that's the beautiful thing. When you got a 19-year-old SPD, highest ranking company, so you got a 24-year-old making over $1 million a year in this business, to an 85-year-old, at senior presidential director. I mean, these are not salespeople. Like I'm a gifted salesperson. When you hear me talk, it's like, wow, but here's the deal. I can't make your stem cells reactivate. And that's what generates the word of mouth. Word of mouth is the most powerful form of advertising. That's why I was excited about this opportunity, because I couldn't find salespeople for my advertising company. And don't ask me to go find salespeople to go sell this product. And thank God we're not here selling the product. We're sharing it in a really glorified way that gives us the ability to change lives and get paid in return. And it's different than traditional selling, which is really awesome, giving hope to the commoner who gets excited, just like seeing a good movie. You know, what do you want to do? You want to go tell people. Well, you put a patch on. Well, you want to go tell people also, but the people you want to tell, the people closest to you, and since they trust you, it makes it easy for them to want to say, okay, I'll give it a shot too. And that's why now at the core, this is the fastest growing company in the world currently, which is amazing. We get to be part of it. And I'm sure a lot of people want to join us in it. And so I'm excited to be able to help everybody win like we are, and others bigger than we are, so that we can help get them not only just healthy, but get them set free from that treadmill that took their eyes down. Now they can kind of brush their vision up a little bit, begin to maybe get a little hope as they get week by week, month by month into this, and maybe begin to get a little more hope, begin to gain a little more faith, a little more belief in what this opportunity is, which is something they can actually plug into. And if they just follow the system that we have, very simple, that we're all following, not reinvent the wheel. And then for us is to ask the Lord to go before us, ask the Lord to bless the work of our hands. We'll do our part. God says, hey, whatever you put your hand to, do with all your might. So whether I've got 20 minutes a day with LifeWave or an hour or more, I'm going to do that small portion with all my heart. Right, unto the Lord. But then God steps in and then he blesses it. And so his blessings on my effort and your effort takes us way further than our efforts ever could. Like the little boy with the little bar loaves of bread and small fish, he did his best and he brought his goods to the party. Well, his goods to the party, some bar loaves of bread and small fish, wasn't enough for the party. But guess what? He did his best. He took it before the Lord, and the Lord then brought his blessings on it, and it became more than enough. And that's what you'll find in this opportunity. When you're willing to care for people, share this with others, plug into a system, and then ask God to bless the work of your hands, watch out. Because the things that you always want in your life just may start happening for you. And then you realize it really wasn't you. It really was the good Lord and his blessings on you. David Schmidt creating this patch that you and I never could do. When we're not producing the patches, we're not making these patches, we're not paying our team. All these other things that are already done for us, we just got to open our mouth and share and care for people. It's pretty amazing. So I know that's maybe a little more than you asked for in your first question, but that's what was on my heart. And we did pray before this meeting, and hopefully this is something that God wants everybody to gain a little hope for themselves for, because that's why we're really doing this tonight, is to bring hope to those who are listening and to help them win huge with us.
Yeah, that is super awesome. And I think, thank you so much for sharing, Ken, because, I think that's one thing is that people don't actually understand what winning is actually like, especially like you say, when you plug into a system that successful people have followed. I mean, why would you turn an opportunity like that down? How many people are trying to do their own thing, try and follow a way that hasn't been laid out for them? Here, like you say, you have over 1,000 people there in Punta Cana. That was a free trip, full expenses. And I mean, that's all because of just sharing this little patch right here. Yeah. So I actually want to shift, a little bit into that and just find out, what was your journey like? I know many people, the big C word, COVID, it really had a major impact on a lot of people. So I think if we can just take it back, because that was quite recent, can we just hear a bit more about what was your journey like leading up to COVID, during COVID, and until this point?
Yeah, that's pretty amazing because I, at the time, for 10 years prior to COVID, 9.5, almost 10 years, I built a small advertising company. There actually were 3 magazines, and I found a niche. They were direct mailed. In the US dollars, I spent about $250,000 a year in postage and printing alone. And then I had 18 people working for me, and I had to do all the selling. I couldn't find good salespeople. So I'm out there hustling day in, day out, knowing that, hey, if I'm not out there selling, my team's not going to get paid. And I got my daughter working for me, and she's got 3 kids and her husband, right? And I've got another dear friend of ours he's worked, and sacrificed to come work for me, and a lot of other team members. And so that's a big burden. And, the buck stops with you and it's all on you. And that was wearing me down. Well, I built my company up where it had a good valuation prior to COVID, about $1.8 million. And I had a goal that I need to get to $3 to $5 million to really retire. And we were going to franchise the model we had created. And boom, COVID hit. And it's like, oh my gosh, the whole world came to a screeching halt. And then out through the other side of COVID, we barely made it through. I mean, we should have tanked. And but then I realized the advertising industry changed. And where 40% of people went on Google first, now 75% of people did because they had to during COVID. And everything shifted. And my results for what our magazines were getting were going down, and I knew I was going to have to reinvent the wheel. And I'm like, I just now have a company that doesn't work what it used to be, and I'm going to have to reinvent it. And that's not a guarantee. And now at my age, I'm like, I don't know if having it in me again to do all the hard work I did to build for the last 10 years to do this again. And I really was sweating. And when my friend Joyce Johnson called my wife and I, first she spoke to my wife, Diana, and shared about this patch. I'm like, Diana didn't really do much about it. And then about a week later, I asked Joyce about a question about something unrelated. She goes, hey, did Diana share about this patch? I said, no, what patch? She says, well, it's this, this little stem cell reactivation patch, and helped me with my neck pain and all kinds of weird issues I had when I had these 4 titanium discs put in my neck. And because, Ken, you remember when I had that put on back in 2019 when those 2 car accidents? Yeah, I do. I said, well, I put this patch on, and guess what? Within the same day, my headaches and weird pains and throat swelling issues all went away. And then my sister, who her name is her sister, that is Joyce's sister, Paulette, needed bone-on-bone knee surgery, migraines, all kinds of pains, and put the patch on her. And the next day, her migraines are gone, and she was feeling better, right? And I said, wow, that sounds pretty awesome. But then she said, listen, remember Steve and Gina Merritt way back from Montevideo, 15 years ago, whatever the heck that was? I said, yeah. I said, well, they've been praying for a long time, for over a year, and to find something that they could win with and all their friends too. And they found this opportunity, and they just came in. They had to let go of their organization. Usually you could sell it, but they had to let it go. Okay. And that's probably worth millions. They had to let it go, come on over here. But in 23 days, they hit the highest rank in this business that usually takes 4 years to do. And they're already making 25 grand a week. And when she said that, I hadn't done any kind of network marketing thing since Montevideo. I only did that for a few months 16 years earlier, and I never did anything like that again, right? But when she said that this patch and what it could do, and I just believe, man, this is an amazing technology. No one has it. It's safe. It's patented. I said, everybody needs this. Everybody's got stem cells, and no one has this. I said, okay. And they just hit the highest rank. I just thought there was a brief ray of hope that opened my mind. I said, what if? What's the chance I might be able to get in on some of this? And, and it was like, this ray of belief hit me. And I'm like, okay, but then I didn't let Joyce in on that. So she kept following up with me. Sometime I ghost her because I just was still over a period of a couple, 3 weeks. But thank God she would then try to share a Zoom with me. I didn't get on the Zoom, you know what I'm saying? And, she shared this info. I didn't look at that initially. And, but then I remember speaking to her again and asking her, I said, okay, Joyce, what's the deal? And what does this really look like? Should I decide to plug in? And she told me about this. Now it's called the premium kit, and how that worked. And I said, is that the biggest pack you can buy? A pack, they call it. Says, yeah, that is. And I said, is there anything else? Any kind of commitment? Says, well, it's month to month, but you go on, an auto ship of $199 a month. I said, that's it. And I said, that's right. So, well, here's what I do. I want to know if this is going to work or not. And the only way to know that is to go all in on it. So give me that premium pack, and I'm going to start mailing these things out to my family and friends. And I'm just going to call them up, and I did. Hey, I've got these stickers. It's a stem cell reactivation sticker, basically. Stick it on, and 12 hours on, 12 hours off. I'm going to just mail you 3 or 4 of them. Now, I wouldn't recommend that now. I do it differently, but I didn't know any better then. But I mailed enough of them out there that, and I just said, listen, I have no idea what's going to happen for you. I just started wearing these, and so I'm not feeling anything yet, but I know something's good happening. But you tell me what you feel. And it just started like that. My daughter called me back the first day, hey, Dad. And she had an issue with her ability from delivering a baby 8 months earlier. She had postpartum hair loss, postpartum, all kinds of weird emotions, brain fog. And the first day that all cleared, she called me up and said, Dad, I just cleaned all the drawers out in the girls' room. I'm focused. I can't believe how good I feel. And I was like, man. But we began to get miracles like that from enough of our friends that we'd mailed enough, because we mailed a bountiful amount out there. And that got us launched to get us started. And so that was our initial. Oh, and here's one also what happened. So the first day, that I called Joyce up, I said, okay, Joyce, I'm going to come in. I was in my daughter's, one of her guest rooms. We were staying with her. She's in Louisiana. We live in Tampa. And I ended up calling Joyce. I said, okay, Joyce, we're in. And I said, but here's the deal. I'm going to need some patches when I come in. And so, because I'm flying in tonight, can we meet? In the meantime, I called a friend of ours that had been with us in Montevideo, basically, and everything, 16 years earlier. And we were only in for about 6 months. We were in and out. And they're the ones who really helped crush it for us. And then they got out. And so I just call them up and say, hey guys, I've come across this amazing technology, and Steve and Gina, remember them? Well, they're crushing out of the gate. And I think this could be way bigger than anything you and I have ever done before, but come, let's meet and I'll share it with you. And so they said, well, Ken, we'll come up and meet you. So we got off the plane, went to our friend Joyce Johnson's house, got a couple sleeves from her, came to my house, met our friends who live an hour away. They had come up to see us, brought us dinner. We shared the opportunity with them. And they said, hey, what did you do? What pack did you buy? What packs did you buy? I said, we bought in advance. We bought a premium, because at first they were going to buy a advanced. And then they said, hey, what did you buy? I said, no, we bought a premium. I said, okay, we'll do a premium too. So bam, there was, well, now it'd be $405 right then. First night, not anymore in the patch yet. Bam, we got people signed up, and that got us started. And so that was like our initial starting point on how we got into this journey.
Wow, that is super awesome. And I think, that's the other side to that is, when someone approaches you, not all of us are going to accept that opportunity head on, right? We have to actually understand it. And what I loved about that is, like you said, there was a bit of hope. It opened your mind to think this is maybe something, 25 grand in 1 week is crazy. And in 23 days doing that.
23 days, yeah, 25 grand a week, yeah.
It is crazy that someone can do that. And I think, what is so amazing is that there's been so many people that are actually still, trying to find their feet after COVID, and to have an opportunity like this, to see, someone that had a business, people depending on them, and now shifting to a fully paid vacation, having a team that is literally compounding your efforts in the same second that you are living, those same seconds are compounding. And that is really so magical to see. And it's truly inspiring. So I think, summing all of that up, Ken, what would you say is the biggest thing when someone is maybe looking at LifeWave, or they don't really know much about LifeWave? What do you think is something that could speak to that person, that this is not just any business, this is something that is actually anyone can do?
Yeah.
There's been so many different testimonials. So is there something that you can share with us, with regards to that?
Yeah, well, it all starts with love, really. Your love for God, your love for yourself, and for love those who are closest to you. Because the people that are closest to you right now, if you still have a parent that's still alive, or you've got a brother, a best friend, a sibling, a child, it's people that you care about. Well, not to be funny, but they all have stem cells, and they're going dormant. And just awakening them could help them on ailments they may be facing, stress they may be under, pains they may be going through. And just the opportunity to have a product that you could really help share love with people by helping them is significant. And no one else has this. And then the other thing is that it's easy. It's a patch, it's a sticker. And it does the work that you and I can't do. It does the work that you and me can't do. We can't make their stem cells reactivate. But when they do, that's when life really begins to awaken, and the blessings begin to occur, and everything begins to elevate for you, because your belief's going to go up, their belief's going to go up. And what are you going to do when your belief goes up? It's like seeing a good movie or a restaurant. You want to open your mouth and tell people. And so that fountain of belief, because of the patch is starting to do the work, is what lifts all of us up who are not salespeople, to begin to share with other people who then can experience the same thing too and replicate that process out. And of course, this all starts with just getting 4 people to try it with you in the structure of what we know is called manager. And then we just help people repeat that process all in that little window. And so it's so powerful. And what does this do? I just want to let you know, think about this. You can be healthy and help your friends get healthy. Okay. And still continue to have to go to work for the rest of your life. And be healthy now. Sleep better, be more productive, be blessing and changing people. Or you could plug into the system and begin to take the next 10, 20, 30 years of your work life and collapse it down into the next 12, 24, 36 months of your life from the collective efforts of others, not from me and you having to punch more time clock and punch more time in the week. And literally bring all that into the present. So picture yourself 24 months from now, you're waking up and now you're making twice the amount of money you ever made in a given year, and you're not punching a time clock to get it. And now maybe you've cleared some debt that you had from school, for your house, car, and now you don't have it any longer, right? And now you've got extra means, or you want to help your mom do this and help a best friend do that, or help someone in a philanthropic venture. Now you can begin to help them. What does your life now look like? And I would just begin to, as a seed, think about other dreams you would have had in the past that maybe got pushed down like mine did because of just the day in, day out of trying to grind it out. And now maybe God is trying to put you in a platform that if you participate with all of us to begin to help you win for you, where now you can show up for yourself because we have a vehicle that helps you be your best self.
I'm loving it. This is actually an opportunity that, lots of people can actually win in. Like you said, many people's dreams are actually being shoved lower. It's like I say, it's like you tread in water, you're barely getting by. You're living month to month. You don't know what the next month is going to bring. And, you start having to count your pennies. And what does that then do? You can't live your dream. You can't go travel. You can't spend the time with the people that you actually love. So now having the opportunity where you are with people that are winners, this is a winning team. This is a team that has outpaced the company's growth. And that's all because of the winners that we are surrounded by. And the best thing about it is that if you're walking a path that a successful person is walking, they've literally laid the road for you. You just got to follow. You just got to listen. You just got to follow. So I think that's quite awesome, Ken, in the sense that, like you said, you tie into a system. So what was your journey like once you got started, right? You mailed out patches and you started getting the ball rolling. Sure. How did you identify leaders? How did you speak to people that were leaders that came into your organization and just started that exponential growth?
Right. Well, it all starts with belief, and I want to share that component first, and I'm going to share a journey, because prosperity is not what's in my bank account. Prosperity is not what's in your bank account. Prosperity starts in your mind. It has to start here. But for years, I wasn't thinking that way because I was so bent and beat up with what I had to deal with, not really realizing I was, but I was just trying to run as hard as I could to get done what I got to get done to make sure I could pay what I could pay, and so I didn't have any room in my mind for thinking prosperity because I boxed myself in on my own thought processes, and the feelings we have become our truth, but those feelings aren't true. They're just feelings as a reaction from what we're thinking. And so the power is you and I can change what we think. And how you do that is you get around an organization of people that are common, just like you and me, that now are seeing things differently and they're achieving things they didn't do before that you realize you could do too. So now your thoughts begin to change. And now your actions go with it, and then the fruit comes with it, and then now you got more money occurring in your bank account. So that at a core is so important that you get into the environment we're in of just common folks that now have a different viewpoint of thoughts that create belief. And a belief, like a ship when so placed in the water, it will displace all the form of negativity in the mind and create the real true positivity that's needed to bring you to where you really want to go. And we get to do it with you, and we get to do it together. So that's something that I realized has gotten me as a core, because I believed in these patches. I've had this ray of hope. I believed that system that Steve and Gina and Mary were creating that I could follow. Maybe one day I could make $25,000 a week. When we first came in, that was such a far off, like, oh my gosh, that is a huge number. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm just thinking, just a few weeks ago, our best week was 31.5. And I'm like, hold on a second here. I remember just coming in and trying to figure this out, and so, and that's what's so hopeful. So then what our journey was is that now we started sharing patches, and we began, and it wasn't easy because we didn't have, like, the system was wonky and trying to sign people up, and it frustrated me because it wasn't just here. But I believe people still need these patches, so we kept on going. Well, so in my journey, so I have an advertising company. I have people work for me. I also have to travel an hour and a half down to where it's at, an hour and a half back. So sometimes I'd stay in the town 2-3 nights a week. And many times I had a driver drive me down because I really had minimal time. And I had to stay productive on those 3-4 hours on the road to continue to build the business, make phone calls, do what I had to do to build my day in, day out job of my company. And so in that context, LifeWave came along. And what LifeWave did, it put a new bounce in my step. I didn't change anything I did. I just got really good at our pitch, and so I'd be at a networking event, or I'd be with a client and, sharing my advertising company. First things first is always God first, then family, then your work, then LifeWave. So in that order, I was crushing work, but I had LifeWave right in there. And so I would, on the heels of every conversation, almost walk out the door. I would say, oh, by the way, you've heard about this patch, right? And they'd be like, no, what is that? I said, oh, this is a stem cell reactivation patch, works off light in the body. Nothing goes into my body, right? And it doesn't conflict with any kind of medication. But at our age, almost all our stem cells are dormant. Half of them by the time you're 30, that's why we begin to age, almost all of them by the time we're 60. And guess what? This thing turns them on back naturally from light in the body, not light from the sun, but light that comes out from our DNA, like when you put infrared goggles on. So it doesn't matter what kind of medication, there's no side effects. And it's less than the price of a cup of coffee a day, but it did this for my wife, did this for me, did this for my daughter, did this for my frozen shoulder. And, is this something you'd like to learn more about for you? Oh, really? Why is that? Well, there's a great Zoom going on tonight, or whatever night that was. And I point their attention to it. And if you'd like to know more about it, then I'd send you a link. You'd like to see that? Sure. And say, oh, by the way, I have one of these with me right now. And if you want, I can let you wear one. I'll share them with you. Now, understand, here's what's going to happen for you. Should you decide to wear this technology over the next 90 days, in 90 days, all the collagen in your body is going to begin to refresh. So your skin's going to be getting more supple, your fingernails and your hair is going to be going thicker, less gray. So you're just going to start looking better. In 8 weeks, your cardiovascular system is going to start getting, every 8 weeks, 2 years younger. Okay, depending on your age. And so that's the number one killer of Americans here is heart disease being nipped down the bud. And it's in 4 to 6 weeks, the left and right lobe of the brain is going to balance. So your sleep, your energy, your focus is going to get better, your memory, and then the anomalies of joint pain and this pain and other pain, that begins to dissipate away just in 90 days. But if you'd like, I'll let you wear one of these right now. And I found that showed me who's interested, because some people say, well, I need to do more research. Fine, give it back to me. We'll give it to them. But the people said, yes, stick that on me. Those were my qualified audience. And now that gave me in the follow-up process and our PRO process and patching and follow-up, those are people I knew I could follow up on. Hey, did you see the Zoom? Hey, did you take the patch off? And by the way, just by chance, you haven't seen anything, because 1 in 5 people, you see something, you may have been that one, and what would you like to do next? Would you like to get together so I can, help you get in on some of this, type of thing. And so that's how we began to. And so in the first 103 days, we had signed up 63 people. And while I was just busy, but one of those people was Andy Hauser. So we found someone who then literally had been in another opportunity years earlier, and that got shut down, wrongly so. And later, one of the lead individuals in that organization, who was a top distributor, took the FTC to court in Washington and won. Took them 4 years, though. In that time, most of that organization had been dismantled, and people had been burned who'd helped a lot of people, made a lot of money. So it was just not a good thing. And well, that whole organization, people began to come into my organization on my right leg. And over time, things began to pick up, but I still had to have my other leg I get paid on. And we began to work to pray and ask God to begin to sponsor. And when things really lit up for me, actually, is before I had Andy come in my organization, and then everything kind of happened from there. Really, it was God's favor that brought that. It wasn't like I didn't get lucky. I got blessed. And God's waiting to bless everybody in this opportunity. As you pray for how do you find leaders? You pray that God bring them. And what you do is you sign up everybody, because everybody deserves an opportunity to wear this patch. And there's a saying that your duds will lead, and your duds will lead to your studs. Not to mean that derogatorily, but you don't know who knows who. And, you may sponsor this person, you sponsor another, and boom, they hit a major hitter, but you did your part. God says if you scatter sparingly, means you're going to reap sparingly, because God will not be mocked. That was a man sows, he reaps. But if you scatter bountifully, and I knew this principle, because I used this my whole life, bountifully. So I'm just going to put my foot on the gas and do everything I can with what little time I had. In the nooks and crannies of what I was doing and my busyness and my schedule, my foot was on the gas with this thing. And so when you scatter bountifully, what's going to happen is eventually you're going to find some really good soil. And that's all we did. And we began to use that principle down the other leg. And we found Greg and Men and Warm Beer, right? And we began to pray for leaders. And now Greg and Warmberg, guess what? They're now SPDs, right? So now my other leg, I got an SPD, but then we're going to be breaking other SPDs now because we've been praying, Lord, bring us leaders. Because there's a big difference between making $3,000 to $5,000 a week and making $30,000 to $50,000 a week. And the difference is leaders. And how you get those leaders is you ask God for them, because Psalms 37:4 says, if you delight yourself in the Lord, he will give you the desires of your heart. Okay. It also says, Paul planted, but Apollos watered, but God made it grow. And so in the dynamic of reaping and sowing, there's the most powerful process called growing. We are not responsible for growing in the reaping and sowing principle, where God will not be mocked. So and if you scatter sparingly, you're going to reap sparingly, because God can only grow it sparingly. But if you scatter bountifully, then God steps in. He's going to bring you more bountiful growth, because he's not going to be mocked, because it's his principle, not yours or mine. We just have the free will to choose it, to believe it, and to use it or not. What are you going to do? Right? What do you deserve? And when you begin to realize you deserve bountiful, because that's how God is. How many cells are in your body? How many hairs are on your head? How many stars in the heaven? I mean, God is bountiful, right? And so, but it's in the cadence of who he made you. Jesus walked across the water. He never ran, right? So, and how we do is we just take God's hand in the morning, Lord, lead me, bring them to me, and I'll do my part with all my heart to care for people, to share this with other people in my 331 or PRO system, whatever that looks like. I'm going to do that with you consistently. Lord, help me do that. But show me today, Lord. Show me who needs this. Show me who's been crying for something like this. Show me who wants this. And Lord, bring me the leaders too. But bring me everybody that you've designed for me, because God has every single person picked out for your organization, and it's more than you think. So begin to think that, and then get after that, because he'll help you find every single one designed for you. That doesn't mean everybody's going to say yes, because the majority of people will say no. But when you realize it doesn't even matter, because the minority who say yes is a game changer on the miracles that occur. It's just like a baseball player when he goes up the bat, he bats a 300 average, he makes millions. That means that 10 times up the bat, 7 times he's going back to the dugout. That's life 101. Welcome. That is for Elon Musk. It doesn't matter who it is. You can't sidestep prosperity. You can only step into it, put it on, wear it, show up, suit up with it, and then watch it work on your behalf, because God will not be mocked. Right. And so in this journey, it's abundance, and abundance looks different for everybody. So for some, it could be just 1 person a day, and it could be 3 people a day for others, 5 for others. What is your abundance? And it's between you and the Lord. And as you keep delighting yourself in the Lord while you work with all your heart unto him, then he blesses the work of your hands, and you realize it's a team effort with God helping you, because you're willing to give it everything. So that is kind of my philosophy, and you can't go wrong with that. You cannot fail with the Lord by putting him first, delighting in him, and then working with all your heart unto him. He'll balance things out. He'll close doors, open doors, and he'll give you the hope when someone says no, just to keep loving them and to get on to the next person. And that's the joy, is that you're not in this by yourself, particularly with the Lord. And then you're with all of us. You're in the same boat, saying the same thing, learn the same thing. And so then, having been into a system that Steve and Gina Merritt created, that this is a team system that we initially plugged into, that's when we realized we had a fail safe. We had basically it's a framework that we could operate in by getting on the Zooms as much as possible, getting people on those Zooms as much as possible, and listening to how people share this path, so we get easier sharing with others too, and getting people to see these Zooms and getting them patched. And really, I was just kind of the round robin. Well, within 90 days, we were making about 1,000 to 1,500 a week. We went on a cruise for 2 weeks to Hawaii and Bora Bora, and we ended up coming back $2,500 richer. And that's when it got my attention, because I already made good money. And so the principle that I did not have to put my foot on the gas, because we're 4 days from Hawaii to Bora Bora, away from everything in the middle of Nowhereville on a boat, and our income went up. And I said, and the light bulb went on. I said, that saved me time. And that was not me. And I said, I want this for all my family and friends. I want them to feel the power of this opportunity, because that was the power. And I said, oh my gosh, that was a freedom thing. No punch in the time clock. I said, this is awesome. So we got more excited. We got to tell people, right? And then in this business, you go from event to trip you earn to event, to trip you earn to event. It's the most amazing business model, and it gets you excited. And you want to bring people along with you to do the same thing, And so we had an event come up, and a lot of people went to that. And at the time, we're making about 1,000 a week, right? That was about 4 months in. And then after that, within 6 months after that, we're making 1,000 a day, because there's a power in compounding. Excuse me, let me get sick here. That word of mouth is the patch is creating word of mouth. And then you have the compounding factor that then builds. And that's why word of mouth is so powerful, because 1 goes to 2. And then 2 people tell 1 person, that's 4. 4 people tell 1 person, that's 8. 8 people tell 1 person, that's 16. 16 people tell 1 person, that's 32, 64. And 128, 256, 5, 12, 10, 24. So in 10 iterations, 1 just telling 1 and 1 just keeps telling 1, you're at 1,000 people. And I remember in 10 months, so in 10 iterations, 1,000 people. And in 10 months, we're at 2,000 people. I'm like, honey, we're not doing this. Well, this is crazy. 10 months later, we're at 20,000 people. That was 5 months ago. Now we're at 40. I'm like, and actually I have almost 60. I'm not talking about the overflow leg. I'm talking just from me started with 2 on my left and 2 on my right, and how the compounding word of mouth factor went out. That is something that isn't related to my personality or your personality. That is a principle of the patch and word of mouth working with people collectively involved with the system that's way bigger than you could ever accomplish. We can't go make that happen. We just start it and fuel it and pray God bring more people who can start it and fuel it, and pray God bring more people. And then you bring leaders in, that begins to accelerate it like glass on fire, and that's what you do. But listen, that's it, right? I mean, how simple is it? And that's what began to happen for us. And we just began to, and since we were new in this industry, God brought us really great leaders, and we began to watch what they were doing so we could learn how to begin to lead people, work with people. And that's where we're at now at this point, fast forward, and here's what happened. So I'm jumping ahead. And so, in 11 months, we were able to hit the highest rank in this company. And 11 months later, it got us to $1 million a year as newbies in the industry. That was literally a mind blowing. And, and this is the gift that it can have. It's happening for others too, of all ages,
Mm-hmm.
18 to 85. So what do you want? That's why I tell people, what do you want? And here, where we're at now, we believe firmly God's going to 10x our organization. And because we have a dream, we're able to dream again. And a dream that's a God dream is a dream that's bigger than me or you, because it has to deal with impacting many lives beyond you or me or you. It's not about having a big house and some cars and stuff. Hey, that's nice. And, we own 2 cyber beasts, trucks we had wrapped. These are the baddest things ever. We paid cash for them, right? These are like $130,000 each. But you know what? We're making $100,000 every 3.5 weeks. Alrighty. So, and we're debt free, and we have an amazing attorney and financial advisor, and we're basically stocking all. We can live on just about $40,000 a year, literally, because we're debt free, and we still live in the same house we raised our family in. We're simple. We just know that we want to steward what God has given us, and we want to be a blessing to the watching world to be able to fund what He really wants to accomplish. And so that's why we're so excited, and we know we can be trusted with what He's giving us, which is really to go change a ton of lives, help other people change those lives, and then show people how to steward their finances once they get them. And don't make this business a God. Don't make your money your God. Don't create idols. Make sure God is your God, and we're going to help people fall in love with the dream maker. And that's my goal. I want to show that you can dream again. And the best way to dream again is to fall in love with the one who makes your dreams come true. And that all is found in following this system of this 3-3-1 formula that's been given with this patch, within the This Is a Team, and with collecting with our Believers for Life community inside of This Is a Team. So I hope some of that's answering, because I'm giving you bits like a s'mores. I started and I expanded.
No, that was really awesome. And I really love how you said, you have to delight in the Lord first, delight in the Lord and then be the light. That's the best thing about this, is that this patch is literally a blessing that you carry in your hand. every single person that you touch with this patch is a blessing that you place on someone. The blessing of better health, the blessing of better wealth. And that's an opportunity that every single person in this whole world needs, because everyone has stem cells and everyone deserves an opportunity. No one should be left out. So we should never decide, maybe I shouldn't call this person, or maybe this is not the right thing for that person. You never know. Like you said, Ken, you can have a stud or a dud, and you never know who that's going to be. And if you give everybody the equal opportunity, that's why this is so great. It's affordable opportunity that anyone can get into. And if you just stick it out for 2 years, you're going to be having your best weeks while you're on a fully paid trip.
Yeah.
Now, who's going to say no to that? Right. If you are saying no to that, you have to really get on this little patch, because you got a 30-day money back guarantee. You're going to be on the patch. You're going to activate your brain cells, and you're going to start earning some money by just telling people about something that can literally change your life. And that is so awesome, Ken. I mean, the fact that we have something that's so simple, you just literally show it to someone. I liked how you share that. It's not something you have to spend hours a day racking it on the phone and trying to do cold calling or sell. It's, you add it into your life because that's how simple it is. It's not something that takes up so much of your time. It's something that, oh, by the way, John, have you heard about this patch? Have you been patched yet? And that triggers them. And we have so many resources. I must say, in the beginning, it may feel a bit overwhelming with how many resources we have. But once you start getting into it and you start just piece by piece, everyone has their own timeline. But if you tie into what needs to be done, the activity, the income producing activities, inviting people to Zooms, consistently proing people every day, following that system is just so awesome, because if we just follow it, the results are going to come. And if you get started, it is time to hit the ground running. Call as many people as possible, because that period, those seeds that you plant, like you said, can scatter bountifully. And if you are going to talk to one person and then they tell you no, you're going to think that this opportunity doesn't work for you. But if you call 100 people immediately and you invite them all to a Zoom that you don't even do, you're just going to watch the results happen. And I mean, like you said, it's compounding. It is just so awesome that literally it's happening, for everyone every single week. Those bonuses go up, the payments get better, and it's really, really awesome.
Yeah.
So then let's go into this, Ken. So now that you are obviously here on this trip in Punta Cana, I know that LifeWave has many more trips coming up now in the new year.
Yeah.
But what is your focus now going into, I think we spoke about this, but launching into 2025?
Yeah.
What is your focus now going into the rest of the year and going into 2025?
Well, what's really awesome is yesterday I met with with Greg Men and Warmbier, SPD on my left leg, and then Josh Holloway, another up and coming SPD, and God just gave us just a great idea, and really seated nicely. And it's based on this concept. We go to convention to trip to convention to trip, and we realized that there was a gap between the Punta Mita trip coming up in April. Now, prior to that, we have the Rise Up convention coming here in January, right? First, second week in January. And then we have Punta Mita here in April. But then the next run is in August that we're going to have, so with this is a team convention. So we realized June is a nice midpoint. So we've come up with give early little director's cut, we're calling it. Director's cut, like a movie. Director's cut. And so it's going to be spectacular. And that's going to seat nicely. But what's so beautiful about that is that is not really for everybody here right now. Here right now, people have got the Rise Up coming up here on January 11th, and they've got the ability, and we're going to help everybody run hard and get as many of their team plugged in to earn the Punta Mita trip. So that is our heaven bent purpose right now, are those two events, and getting people to build their organization as big and wide and deep as they can towards those two venues. And then we'll have a rewarding venue for their new people to help their new people hit director come June, and senior and above. And they too will be able to earn also. But now they have another event they can look to that seats nicely and timely right on the heels of Punta Mita to keep the flow going. right? And so so our focus is obviously Rise Up, then Punta Mita, and then the director's cut, and then in August, and it will be here before you know it. So we want to start that now on helping people launch managers. It's all about manager making machine. How to go manager and how you help your friends go manager and continue to optimize that formula for success. And so, and then we'll incentivize, I'm sure, things for January 11th, 10th, and 11th to Rise Up. And we may additionally incentivize, if you will, with our team, some competition, maybe throw some money in there, and do the same thing again for Punta Mita, and so that we can really keep all eyes focused and all hands on deck on really what they want, which is to optimize them, getting these patches on everybody, and then getting super blessed by the company for doing it. So that is kind of our initial game plan here from now to August, actually, of 2025.
That's awesome. Well, I think something that if we can, I think it's really awesome. I mean, this just shows that how when you tie into a team, we even being incentivized outside of the company. I mean, how awesome is that? That is the team you're on. You have leaders that are willing to invest more into you to get you to where you want to go, get you to your dreams faster. That is the people that are literally helping to support you and bring you up. So that is really awesome. So I think just tying into that, Ken, I know you said that we have to be focused on making managers, right? That is launching managers. That is the focus. So for someone that just got started today is the first day they heard about LifeWave. They want to go and now they don't know where to go, what to do, what to say, how to say it. Can you just share maybe like your story, how they can take your story, implement it as their own, and launch their LifeWave business like never before?
Absolutely. Well, it all starts with why. Why is this patch mean so much to you, and who around you, that list of your family, your friends, your people you work with, and maybe people you work out with, in that immediate sphere, they're waiting for you. And so build that list, right? And then we have a Linktree page, Blue Years for Life does, that shows you how you can contact and invite from that list to get all your family and friends quickly on maybe a private Zoom launch. And your upline or somebody like myself or in the organization does that Zoom for you, because you can take the time to talk to each one individually, or you can simply take a few minutes and invite each one so they all can see it at the same time. And then that will help you launch. And you may find yourself getting 4 people out of that Zoom launch that night, and you can go manager by dinner. But that's a start, and you follow through on that. And then you plug into our community. We meet on Sunday nights, here in the United States, 8 p.m., so that you can see who's winning, who's earning ranks here at Testimony of the Week, and get to familiar with your team on a more local level with your upline and such, so that you can get in the community. You've got to have that community. And once you're kind of in the community and you're focused on going manager and you're working with your upline to go manager, now you really kind of got what you really initially need and out of the gate. And that's going to help you simplify, because you're going to replicate that process as your friends that you bring in the organization, who then get excited too. You're going to help them get their first, launch them the manager, if you will, with their first Zoom, inviting their family and friends to send them to the Linktree page so they can see how to contact and invite. And that would be my first recommendation when you're first coming in, is
that's awesome.
Manager.
On making manager, exactly that. So I think, some people, they really try to also overcomplicate it. Like we say, this is just literally a little patch that you wear on your body, completely non-invasive. You just put it on your body. So to tell people, that is actually how simple it is. So Ken, I think if you can maybe take us, we like to get, we want to get managers done in like half an hour. So what would that, when they are approaching their friends, their loved ones, like you said, who do you love? That's where we start. Who do you love? Because again, this is a blessing that you're taking, you're gifting to someone. If they don't want it, it's okay. At least you left the blessing.
That's right.
But you got to place that blessing. You got to place that seed. So what would you say? Like, I know when you mentioned with Joyce, when you got started, you also start spreading the word and head your own launch Zoom. So what kind of guidance could you give someone that's getting started today? What words can they use to actually get that launch Zoom and make it happen?
Absolutely. Well, on the Believers for Life Linktree page, we're going to go through this. So let me give it to you. It's real simple. You're going to call your family and friends up, and you're going to basically be in the position of asking questions. As he who asks questions controls the conversation. First, so say you're calling your best friend up and say, hey, best friend, I'm super excited for something I want to share with you. Did I catch you at a good time? Or you say, is now a bad time? Okay. And that will say, oh, they'll tell you. No, actually now is, and when you say now is a bad time, they'll tell you another time that's better to call. So at least you ask the first question, is now a bad time? Not? Oh, good, great. Well, listen, and they'll say, hey, what are you excited about? And then you say, well, let me ask you a question. Yeah, to your best friend or whoever it is you're calling. What do you know about stem cells? And you shut up. That will stop them in their tracks because that's a pretty powerful question. And they're going to say, well, they're going to tell you whatever they're going to tell you. Right? Most people don't know much at all. And then they'll probably say, hey, well, why are you asking? Because I've got my hands on this most amazing technology. And you share some testimonies real quick, like real concise, of why you're excited about what you've seen, about what this has done, whether it's on your friends or even for you. And then you say, and obviously, I thought about you. Is this something, best friend, you'd like to learn more about for you? And you put it back on them. And then they're going to say, well, I think so, or maybe so. I got this going on. They'll talk to you. And then you want to drive it further home and ask them, oh, really, why is that? And it's amazing when you ask people, your best friend, your mom, doesn't matter. Oh, really, mom, why is that? And they'll sit and they'll tell you, well, because, and now you've got a really good view of what they may be interested with this patch. And so now you kind of know where they're coming from. And so you say, well, great. There's a great Zoom I'm doing with a friend. Obviously, I'm still new at this and I don't want to mess it up, but I want them to share their story and share about this with us. And so I've invited you and a few other family and friends on a private Zoom all together so we can take a look at this. And so, and I like to see if you join me because I want to see if you see what I see. Can I get you that link? And you do it either that night or the next night, not 3, 4, 5 nights later. You want to be able to do it at a time, that sense of urgency. And that, so that you have that sense of urgency and you can be quick and get off the phone to get to the next person. And I'd also say you're still going to come across 4 types of soil. Good soil who's going to join you in the Zooms. Two of those people that you trust the most and they care about you and they'll just do it because you're a friend. Okay. But then you're going to come across soil that is basically the birds took it, just not interested. Your uncle said, no, I'm just not interested. Don't chase the birds. Or you're going to come across soil where, well, they'll just give you one objection after another. But don't try to uproot the changes. Don't try to overcome their mind. Just identify, love them where they're at, and let it go. We drip on them later. Or you may find someone who gets all excited and they ghost you after that. They don't show up. They don't do this. They don't return your calls. Right? So you're going to have 4 types of soil. Good soil, the birds take it, wheat soak it, sun scorches it. Because that's how life works. One. So just get ready. And this is why you want a bigger list. 10, 20, 30 people get ready to call, all right, and just anticipate. So when that happens, you're like, oh, I remember Ken saying that. Just go keep loving them where they're at. People don't want to be forced into believe in something, and they don't want you to keep talking about something they don't want to hear, right? So, but you want to love on them and share your belief and why you're excited to get them on a Zoom to see if they partner with you and take a look to see if they see what you see. Right. And so so you're stay free to go to the next phone call when they maybe don't or do. But now what's going to happen is because if you scatter bountifully those phone calls, you're going to get enough people who are going to show up on a Zoom. And usually half the people who say they're going to show up do show up. So understand that guideline. So if you say 8 people are going to, it said they show up, probably 4 to 6 will show up. Right. So try to get as many as possible. But even if it's only one, how hungry are you to keep on going? Right. And so, and if you ask the Lord to go before you, he's going to bless the work of your hands. If you just stay focused, then you're going to be in good shape to keep on going because countless lives are waiting for you. They're waiting for you.
That's awesome. Well, I think that's the most important thing. You can't let them know, actually stop you. It should actually speed you up because by the same token, if you're not telling someone or sharing with someone, chances are they're going to find out by somebody else. And I mean, it actually recently happened with me. I had been in the business for quite a few months now, and I reached out to one of my friends that's a bike netist. And, one of the questions that I asked him is like, hey, I would say his name, like, hey, have you been patched yet? And he said, Brendan, I hope you're not talking about the same patch. You're talking about the X39 patch. And I said, yes, the X39 patch. And he said, how long have you been in the business? And I said, quite a while now, quite a few months. And he said, and you're only calling me now. He saw one of his clients come in a few weeks ago, and he asked about it. And then he immediately signed up, and his whole family is actually already using it. And that's the thing, is that if you delay, especially with the people that you love, now that's a missed opportunity. And you could have had such a, you decide how much of an impact you can have on someone, right? It's how many blessings you can give to them with LifeWave. As your business is growing, you are able to bless more people, help more people, and that's what's super awesome. But, something like that, that's now a missed opportunity. So you don't want to be in that position where someone that you love, someone that loves you back, when they actually speak to you again, they found out that you only told them 6 months in. You need to hit everyone. As soon as you find out about it, it happened to Kerry Robinson as well. As soon as she found out about it, she told as many people as possible, because that is the opportunity. You need to share this as fast as possible. And like what you said there, you just got to keep on scattering and keep on going through it. If someone says no, it just means you haven't asked enough people, because if you ask enough people, you will eventually find the person that says yes. And that one person, you technically, if you get 2 leaders on your team, 1 on each side, your business is going to take care of the rest. And that's the amazing thing. You got to keep on going until you find those people, and then they just keep on coming, which is super awesome. But I think, you know what, Ken, that was really awesome. I think if you want to wrap it up, is there any one last piece of, knowledge of being in the business now for just over 24 months, now in Punta Cana? Is there, some wisdom that you have gained through this whole journey that anyone that is at this point right now where you are, but not in Punta Cana, what can you share with them to make sure that they're on the next intensive trip?
Sure. Plug into the system. Be on every Zoom you can, because what happens is that your mindset creates your whole future. And up to this point, your mindset has not been into our system, and neither was mine, right? But once I started getting on every Zoom, and what happens, my mind began to change. I began to see things I never saw before, and life is like a camera. What you focus on will develop. You reap what you sow. So now you want to begin to focus on these SPDs and other people who are winning and watching people win to encourage you. And what are they doing? We're all doing the same thing. And we're listening to these new testimonies that come through every week on these Zooms, and it just inspires us. So as you stay focused on listening to the power of what's happening, people's changed lives physically, but then you see the power of what's happening to their lives financially, then things begin to change. Because most people come into this and say, well, I don't know about the money. I just want to help people get healthy and help this and that and the other. But they're programmed to think in that lesser state. God did not design you to be working the rest of your life on something where you could be working in a much greater capacity the rest of your life that has way more impact on many more lives to change and to set you free to do things like never before. And the only way to do that is to consistently just plug into the system, or else you will go back. It's like taking the patch off. The patch put on, boom, 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 and then take the patch off and not put any more. It's just, you just go back to homeostasis where you were before on the state of decay. That's kind of like it is. You unplug out of the system, you're going to go back to the same thing before. So staying on this system is like keeping the patch on. All righty. And be consistent like you were the patch. And I'm telling you, your life's going to change.
I definitely agree with that. So ever since this patches came into my life, it's absolutely changed everything. I've gone from literally 0 to hero, and it's really amazing, because when you start blessing other people and you see those blessings start materializing, it truly does change your life. And the fact that you have something like this and it's so easy, it's so in reach, you just have to first believe in yourself. Like you said earlier, Ken, it actually all comes down to belief. And, sometimes it's not just about believing the patch. You have to believe in yourself first, that this is something that can happen for you too. Because if you are so focused on, no, my business and I'm only focused on this, I can't do that, I don't have time for that, no worries. The company is still going to hit $1 billion with or without you. Right. And that person that you haven't actually spoken to is going to be told about the patch some way or another. So it's either going to be you or someone else. If you want to sit on the sidelines and watch, that's also not a problem. But the life rope, the LifeWave rope is right there in front of you. You just got to take the leap and actually just get started. So thank you so much, Ken, for sharing. This was super awesome. And I think this is just the beginning of many. And a quick shout out to Greg and Mena. That was super awesome. And thank you, Ken, because you know what? Without you speaking to Greg and Mena, I wouldn't have spoken to Greg. And, you know, the ripple effects of that. I mean, there's so many people's lives that are being impacted. And I mean, just to end it off, Ken didn't even mention this. He said he had his best week of over 30 grand in a week. I'm happy to share that he had his best ever week of over 50 grand in a week, which is super awesome. So, you know, that is the opportunity behind it. And that's just over 2 years in the business. Why can't it be you? You also have stem cells. You also need to help other people activate their stem cells. So why can't it be you? Just dedicate 2 years of your life, couple minutes a day. I mean, it'll be the best return on investment you ever make. Just believe in you, join the Believers for Life organization, and just literally change your life with LifeWave. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ken. Yep. This was awesome.
Blessings.